How you doing? Martin Lopez here with Curiosity Theory. And I just want to share with you something that happened this last week. So I'm putting together my 2021. God, what year is it, right? It's crazy. 2021. Can you believe it? So I'm putting my game plan together for 2021. And I'm writing everything I want to accomplish every single month. And as I'm writing down the things I want to accomplish, what shows up for me is there's no way I can do this. Like my own personal beliefs are in the way of me reaching my dreams. I hear people saying that often, but I do have a set of friends that it seems to me that they don't have that problem. I would probably assume they do. They do struggle with some stuff like that, but but as long as I've known them, as long as I've known Deanna, as long as I've known Chris Heller, as long as I've known Greg Reed, they've been high achievers. They've been high producers. They are playing a game at an incredibly high level. And I've seen them recreate themselves, not just once, but more than once. I've seen Chris do it a few times. And I've seen Greg do it a few times. And I've been fortunate to be able to be in a relationship with these guys such that they would share what they go through with me sometimes. So when I was thinking about what I needed to accomplish, what I have to do to accomplish what I want to accomplish in 2021 and the rest of my life, frankly, it scared the heck out of me. It frightened me. And that got me excited. That really got me excited because, there's a saying out there that says, have a goal that's so big that it frightens you. Well, this one did. So now that I have a goal that frightens me, now that I have a life, now I have things that I want to achieve that frightens me. I've now got to build the muscles. I've got to build the muscles. I got to build the way of being. I've got to build myself to be the kind of person that can achieve those kinds of results. And as I was thinking about that, I thought of a term that I heard Tony Robbins say. And he uses this term called massive action. If you want to accomplish anything, you have to apply massive action. And massive action simply means you need to commit to taking action until you get the desired result. And I've done that in certain things in my life, but I've never taken on what I'm going to take on for the next part of my life. And so I'm excited about it. I'm also frightened about it, but more excited about than anything. So what I want to do is I wanted to bring a few friends on. I want to bring Chris, and I want to bring Deanna, and I want to bring Greg on, and I want to have a conversation about what is massive action. So guys, how you guys doing?
Always good.
Awesome. Excellent. I remember that saying, Greg. You always said, "Always good." I love that. So, you guys all know I have so much respect for all you guys, and we're getting some feedback from you again, Deanna.
Oh man.
So I have so much respect for you guys, and I've seen you guys do things that to me just blows me away. Chris, I remember when you were younger, you would work all day, and then at nighttime you'd go like 11 o'clock at night to take the cash out of the washing machines. Remember? And then you'd go back to work. Or actually, then you'd go home after you'd taken the coins out of the laundromat, and then you'd get up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you'd go work out like every single day. And that just used to blow me away. I would think I was probably, 29, 30 years old when you did that. And that totally blew me away because I was like all about, I need my rest. I need all those kinds of things. But you didn't have those kinds of thoughts. And then Greg, just all the things that you've done, like going from what you used to do into a completely new world of like literally creating the secret knock, which is something that just doesn't exist out there, and going from nothing to making this huge thing. And then Deanna, all the accomplishments that you have. So I'm really interested, first off, in having you guys introduce yourself, and we'll start with Chris, then we'll go with Greg, and then go to Deanna. And then like to kind of just get your feedback and, your thoughts on massive action. So when I have Chris introduce himself first.
Sure. Well, Martin, first of all, it's always fun to spend time with you, and don't spend enough of it. So my name is Chris Heller. I'm speaking to you from Austin, Texas. I also have a home in Encinitas in San Diego. I've been in the real estate industry my entire adult life. I got my license when I was a sophomore in college, 20 years old, and have done various things in the industry. Still have a real estate team in San Diego that helps hundreds of people buy and sell homes every year. I have led the largest real estate company in the world. I have been the CEO of another company in the mortgage industry, and now am with Ojo Labs, which is a technology startup in the real estate space here in Austin, Texas. I have 4 grown kids, and and also now own a home in Montana. So I spend time there also.
What the heck? Just go buy a house in Montana, right? That's awesome. Thanks for being here, Chris. I'm excited that you're here. Greg, how about you? Tell us a little
First of all, he has a program. If he doesn't sell it, he's going to buy it. So that explains.
That's right. That's what his wife told him.
That's how that kind of works. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm just Greg. I live here in San Diego, California. I happen to write books, been published in 110 titles, 45 different languages around the world. And my latest feature film is on Netflix right now called Wish Man. But to your topic about action, people always talk about this law of attraction. And I believe that it's the action in the attraction that makes our dreams come true. You got to think it, feel it, but ultimately you got to get off your backside. You got to take action. You got to move toward that goal. And so many times people are waiting for the bad case of the one size. That means I'm going to take action once I get the big break or once I get the kids out of the house. But the best time to take action is the moment it strikes you.
Yeah, the once I feel okay, once it feels right? There's so many one size. I love that. Deanna, thank you for being here, Greg. I really appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. Deanna, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm trying to figure out my audio, so I apologize if it's still acting wonky.
You sound perfect now. You sound awesome.
Okay. Oh gosh, I'm Deanna Nunez, and a longtime professional hypnotist. I've performed all over the world. It's such an interesting thing because there's really only probably a handful, like about 6 women that have done what I've done worldwide. And I feel like I'm in good company with those ladies of being a stage hypnotist, as well as doing seminars and just teaching people about the power of the subconscious mind. And with that, I value what I do because I've applied it to myself to break through so many barriers. And I love what Greg is saying. Of course, it's like the action of it. You can do visualizations, and I think it's so incredibly powerful to use as a breakthrough. But I think a true breakthrough happens when you put that to action and you habitize, whatever vision it is that you put that to work. So I'm pleased to be here, a part of this conversation. It's my favorite thing. I love action.
Well, we're talking about massive action, which is the same thing, really. I see massive action as like committed action. Like, I'm not going to stop until I get this result. How would you guys define massive action?
Yeah, I think it is. It's that everyone knows what action is, right? And massive action, okay, that means more action, bigger action. But really, what it is it's doing it. Especially when you don't want to or don't feel like it, or there's things that are stopping you or getting in your way. It's having the willingness to do whatever it takes, within reason, within boundaries, but having that willingness to do whatever it takes and continuing to be in action, pushing through the fears, pushing through the concerns, pushing through the insecurities, and pushing through all those things that we all deal with, but staying in action.
Yeah, I believe it's all about the power of stickability. One of the books that we did, you have to have your eye on the prize, but then you have to be flexible and adjustable on the way. You can't get so stuck up on the analysis paralysis that it keeps you from getting where you want to go. And one of the analogies I've shared with you many times is if you're on the sofa and you want to get to the end of the street, yes, you want to do that no matter what, but a planner will overthink it. They're going to plan every step where they're going to pause. If a sprinkler comes on, it freaks them out. They run back home. Well, if you look for and capitalize on unexpected opportunities to get to your goal, magically those things start appearing before your eyes. Like, did a kid leave a skateboard or bicycle out to make your journey short, or a neighbor driving by and hitch a ride to the end of the street? Either way, successful people get to their goal, the stickability factor. They're just not so caught up in exactly how it has to happen.
I love that. So in your own life, what's an example, Greg, of that skateboard out on the street, or, like that thing that helped you along the lines?
Well, I believe in seeking massive counsel, not people's opinion, counsel, people that have already experienced and got, success in their chosen field of endeavor. So, for example, when I went to Spain running with the bulls, well, you run from the bulls, but the point is that I found the guy who wrote the definitive book, and I called and said, hey, I want to go have a good time and not get killed. What do I do? And he said, oh, that's easy. Stand in this little section and this section. Bulls will come by one side. The other people will trample themselves. You'll have a great experience. That's what I did. Same thing when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I wrote a best-selling book. Just surround yourself with people that are getting the results you want. Duplicate it for yourself. You can do it too.
That's awesome. So counsel versus
opinion.
Opinion. I love that. Okay. Chris, how about you? How's that sound? Like counsel versus opinion, like getting somebody to counsel you versus, I'm just going to give you my opinion. What's that like for you?
I'm a strong believer in asking for help and succeeding through others. And I've always done that. Surrounded myself with people more capable than I am in everything and everywhere I can. But also not, and maybe it's just because I've always had this desire to learn and grow and get better. But always looking to those that are doing more than me, and there's no shortage of people that are doing more than us, right? And as Greg said, asking for advice, asking for how they did it, asking for how they think about things and how they approach things. It's how you learn.
Yeah, and part of that thing, and Dana will attest to this, we call it the hand in the sand. You want to ask as much feedback as you can and say thank you very much because they're giving you their input, but you only accept what makes sense for you. So again, someone could tell you, here's how you raise your kids, and you go, oh, thank you very much. You don't put a wall up, but you let it slip to your finger. But if they say, hey, this is a nugget, and you apply it, as you close your hand, that becomes what works best in your own personal experience.
That's great.
I'd like to interject with just discipline. I hear that's essentially what you're talking about. I think discipline it needs to be way sexier than it actually is. To me, it's the only way I've ever gotten anything accomplished is with learning discipline. It's not something you have or don't have. It's something you develop and you grow, and you only develop it if you're willing to take that action. So, all of the things that come up, as Chris mentioned, the insecurities, the mental blocks, these things, they come up when you're in action, and what to break through, right? It's like it doesn't become clear what you need to focus on and move past until you're in action, is what I've noticed many times. And the just learning the skill set of discipline, I think, is a major game changer, because to what both Greg and Chris have shared, you got to be able to execute when you don't feel like it, because feelings are not facts. They're just so temporary, and you're on this roller coaster ride when you're in your emotions. And there's going to be days that you don't feel like writing your book, or you don't feel like going out for your run, or whatever it is that you want to do. But having that vision towards what you're working towards keeps you in it, keeps you engaged.
Yeah, your goals don't care how you feel.
What's that, Greg?
Your goals don't care how you feel.
They say certainly they don't care how you feel. Well,
I want to add something, Deanna. You just and I didn't think of it, but if I look back and say what's the one thing that I probably counted on more than anything else, it's what you said, is discipline. I created extreme discipline in certain areas of my life, and those are the areas that mattered most, or that helped me achieve what I want to do. And there's still areas, for years in the real estate industry, that I get referred to as the most disciplined agent in the industry, and most disciplined is following his schedule and achieving his goals and doing those things. And people thought, I was this robot, that I didn't have any of the human conditions, but I had all that. I just, in certain areas, I had extreme discipline, and still do to this day. Whether it's my exercise or my diet or those things, I use exercise. I exercise extreme discipline in my exercise, in my diet.
That's awesome. So what was the key that got you to do that? Like, what was the trigger? What was the...
So the story that I've told myself is that I knew I didn't have more talent. I knew I wasn't smarter. I knew I didn't have more connections or more advantage. I didn't have any of those things. So all I could do was control two things: my effort and my mindset. And I discovered that the more disciplined I was in things, the more I accomplished. So the more disciplined I was with my schedule, the more I was able to get done. The more disciplined I was with my money, the more money I had. The more disciplined I was with my exercise, the better health I had. So it was like, okay, here's a recipe that works. I can do this. This is one thing I can control that I can do.
I love that. So in the face of all the things that you may have told yourself negative, like I'm not this, I'm not that, I don't have this, I don't have that. You found something that you could point at and that you could execute on, which was discipline. That's what I hear you saying. And then that discipline that you could execute on really just kind of pushed all those things aside. You know, how you feel about yourself or what you think about yourself. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think when you can accomplish one thing, I remember one of the things that I wanted to establish more discipline. So one of the things that I took on was, and I'm not a morning person, I'm a night person, you know, naturally. So I said, okay, I'm going to get up early. And you know, people say, okay, what's early? 5 o'clock. I said, if they said 5, okay, my time was 4:30. So 4:30 was the time I was going to get up. And I knew if I could accomplish that, then, you know, one of the most difficult things for me to do, then accomplishing other things became easier and easier. So I think that's, you know, whether that's confidence, whether it's that, I grew up, as a little kid, my mom would watch Jack LaLanne, and I remember as a little kid,
I think all our moms and dads did.
Don't know who Jack LaLanne is. But you know, he would talk about strong body, strong mind. Yeah, Deanna knows. And so that strong body, strong mind is something that I absolutely believe in. Now, is it real or not? I don't know, but it's what I learned.
It's so real. It's so real. I have so much to say about that. I'm like freaking out over here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You got to do it while you're doing a jumping jack, though.
I know, like that's what I tell all my friends. Like, I hope that I'm like a Jack LaLanne little old lady when I get old. You know, I believe that one of the fastest ways to get somebody in sync with their discipline is to apply physical fitness goals. And it just changes your mindset. You don't have to necessarily dive into all of this personal growth. The personal growth happens in the interim. And like these marathons.
That's really interesting.
The marathons that I had people run, and I have my little medal right here. I grabbed it because I just wanted to have it near me when we're talking about this, because this to me was massive action. And we talk about having discipline and becoming this, like I didn't have a clue growing up. I mean, none of this happened for me until I was 30 years old. And I was one of those flailing, you know, teenagers that was just all over the place. And their parents are like, oh, good Lord, I hope she turns out to be something. And I finally figured it out, thank goodness. But I say that because anybody can do it, you know. But to your point of the physical fitness, I think that what happens when you push yourself beyond what you think you can do, you now have set yourself up for success to experience everything that you are capable beyond that. You know, Gay Hendricks calls it the upper limit. So yeah. Upper limit, yeah. So if you push yourself beyond, then you learn that, oh, how I got there was with discipline. I started just to notice these things, that there's these really key components. And when I was doing, I didn't even realize it for a few years. But then when I looked back, like, how do I recreate this so that I can apply it to other areas of my life? So I can apply it to my financial success. So I can apply it to my relationships, or, you know, so many other goals. It really is a lot of the same components. It's just like you said, Chris, you're like, you seem like a robot. You had discipline in all these areas of your life, but you're just staying focused. And when you pull it all apart, discipline's always in there. And I think belief is always in there as well. You said, well, what do you do when you start telling yourself, well, I'm not this and I'm not that? Well, stop telling yourself that. Let's start there. Stop telling yourself.
I hear what you're saying. When you applying extreme discipline, you don't have time for that. You don't have time for the non,
because you're in action.
Yeah. You know, Greg, I think when I think discipline, I think of you quite a bit, because I you know, what you have to deliver on stage, how you have to constantly deliver it, how you keep upping your game, all that to me is discipline. How do you practice discipline, Greg?
I just believe it's a different word. It's called desire. So, for example, I have no desire to run a marathon. I have so much respect for it, but that's not my desire. So I'm not going to have discipline to go do that. However, I have a desire to play pickleball and tennis like a crazy man. So I got a coach to teach me all those different things because that's my desire. So I think discipline goes hand in hand with desire. And it's that burning desire, like Napoleon Hill talk, that separates you from the 95% who dream to the 5% who do.
It's that much, isn't it? The number is that much.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That blows me away. What I like what you said, Deanna, was, personal growth happens in the interim. So so in the action, the personal growth is a function of that. When I was looking at what I wanted to achieve, what I'm going to achieve, what I'm looking at achieving right now, is what was obvious is who I was, who I have been being. I'm not going to be able to achieve those goals. I've got to change myself, and that's the desire. Like you're saying, Greg. Like I have a huge desire to change myself. Do you look at change the same way as a desire to change yourself, Greg?
You know what the hardest thing about personal growth is?
What's that?
The pesky growth part, right?
The pain of it.
That's the hard part. Yeah, because growth, that from pushing yourself, that's where the growth comes from. And most people are afraid to push themselves out of something that they've already been doing, or something that is outside of their normal wheelhouse. And if you don't know how to do it, again, just surround yourself with people who've already accomplished what it is. It's that simple. Look, when I wanted to be a best-selling author, I didn't go to Barnes and Noble and go to the best-selling book section that wrote the best books. I didn't want to be a great writing author. I went to the bestseller, the hottest market, and I called them up and said, how did you do it? And I duplicated that system. Same thing today. Look, if you want to get into a restaurant, chain, we know the founder of Chuck E. Cheese, but he did it 40 years ago. What we need to do is surround ourselves with somebody who's doing it today, like Five Guys, in and out, and ask them their guidance. So the secret is, if you want to run a marathon, surround yourself with someone like her who's accomplished and won a medal, because you can duplicate it for yourself and have the same results.
Absolutely. Not going to hang out with a bunch of guys that are playing video games and learn how to run a marathon, right? That's just they don't go together. Greg, you always talk about who you surround yourself with. How do you, all three of you, how do you decide who gets to sit at the table
go first,
and who doesn't get to sit at the table?
Surround yourself with people you have respect for, not people you have influence over.
That's good.
Yeah, it's something that I am, I always have been really conscious about who I surround myself with. So I look for, people that give me energy, not people that take energy. People that make me better, people that, people I respect, people I can have fun with, people I can profit with, people I can learn from or help influence and help them learn. But man, that is such a key topic. Who we spend our time with, who we let in our world, and not just people, but also media and everything else has such an impact on us.
Yeah, energy, opportunities, all that different stuff. At the end of the day, we are a reflection of the people we're hanging around the most, and our income, attitude, and lifestyle is the average of the group. Who is it that we want to be a good spokesperson, reflection of who we truly are?
I love it. How about you, Deanna? How does that concept show up with you, surrounding yourself with people?
I totally agree. But it makes me think about also, it's important to decide who you're not going to hang around. And sometimes that might be even some family members. There's some pretty difficult choices in there. And learn to put it on kind of your golden bubble so that if you can't separate yourself from them necessarily, that you can at least like make yourself a little bit impermeable. I guess there's no little bit with impermeable. You either are. Right. But I think that's really important. I personally lived through that. I surrounded myself with all the wrong people when I was a teenager, and I have teenagers right now. So I'm really cognizant of, who my kids are hanging out with and what kind of, circles and interests they have. Not that I can control that. That's a whole nother subject. But I think that, yes, like you want to create experiences around you and place yourself, in the flow of where you want to be. So, decide what that is and figure out how you're just going to go stand in the middle of it.
There's a quote, Martine, that says, if it feeds you, feed it some more. And if it eats, you have to kill it. And
what's that?
If it feeds you, feed it some more. And if it eats, you must kill it. And the concept is some things feed you emotionally, financially, spiritually, physically, things of this nature. And if it feeds you, feed it some more. But if something's eating, kind of like how Chris was talking about, and it's away from you, you got to let it go. And just like Deanna was saying, look, we're not going to get rid of our family and friends, but it doesn't mean you have to share your hopes and dreams with them anymore. We have to have that discipline to sit and separate it. Look, I go golfing with my golfing buddies, but I'm not going to tell them about the latest project I'm working on. They just don't understand. So why sit there and waste that time and energy and ruin my golf game when you can just have fun with them and tell some jokes and then share your experience of your good stuff that you're working on with the people that will kind of grasp it and be able to push you along the journey.
So when you're talking about leisure and stuff, and I know, Chris, you do a lot of fun things as well. And Deanna, I see you always with your family in the mountains and skiing and doing all kinds of really fun things. So we want to have like quality of life, of course, right? Like I want to have a really great life. I want to experience life, and I got all this stuff I want to accomplish. So you got these two different parts of life, right? I know, Chris, all the stuff you do, Greg, Deanna. So how are you managing that, like being more effective in the time that because you're spending time with your family. I want to be nicer, I want to be kinder, I want to be less judgmental, I want to be more loving. Those are things that you experience. But when you're at work, you want to be more effective, you want to get more done in less time. All that is how are you guys how are you building those muscles?
When I was younger, people used to say Chris is a workaholic, and maybe there was a time when I was younger where I was. I think what I've matured into and continue to do so is just that work-life integration. People talk about balance. I don't believe there's balance, but I do believe there's integration. You can integrate pieces of your life. I also strongly believe, and I've experienced this myself, when I'm doing something that I am passionate about with people that I love and respect, and I'm having a good time, from the outside, it might look like work, but it doesn't feel like work. And so when I'm doing it and when I'm not doing it, feel very, very similar, because it doesn't feel like that work situation.
Chris, I think you're more of a teamaholic. I'm telling you.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah, people don't understand that. You understood the power. You don't have to do all the work. At first you do. You got to put it together like an orchestrator, but you understand the power of, you can make pods, I'll call them, and have them incorporate the same vision and the same enthusiasm behind a project, where you can step back and just keep your thumb on it, but you don't have to actually babysit all the time. I mean, that's what your reputation, just so you know, in our circle is, that you're more of a teamaholic.
It's like compound. You have a team.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of the same principle. I love that. It took me a long time to learn that one. And I went off solo for so many years. And of course, there's always those support people. But I was going to say, in regards to balancing family and work, I always have found a way to bring my family into my work. So I can't even, the countless amazing vacations that they've gone on, because it was a work trip. And I brought them in on it. When my oldest son, he's 31 now, when he was 10, 11, 12 years old, I wrote him into my speaking contracts, and he was a stagehand. So
that's awesome.
He had paid trips to by the Marine Corps to Japan many times. And, he was this little kid, like standing behind the merchandise table. But he was written into the contract. So, and we had such a good time, while we're together. So I have 3 kids. So I always integrated them into everything that I'm doing. And I want them to learn how to be self-sufficient and independent and a creative thinker. And, those are all really important qualities that they can learn by example when they're with you instead of separate from you.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the concept of work, because I find so many people run from that word. And it seems to me like you're running toward that word, all 3 of you. Like, you're not running away. You're like, I'm like, that's work. I'm running toward that. So how do you define work? How are you defining that word work, or using a different word to use, to apply to the things you do in your life that you're so passionate about, that are producing the results financially and for your legacies? Greg, how about you first?
Yeah, I just call everything I'm working on as a project. So to me, it's always a project. It's not really work. So I'm working on a book project, or I'm working on an event, or a film, or a TV show, or whatever it is at the given time. So it's fun. It's a project. It's not like my day-to-day job. And the biggest thing we all strive for is one word, and we're all going to agree with this, is just the word freedom, whatever that definition is. So to me, I believe that these projects create the freedom to give you the opportunity to do more projects and choose the ones where you want to do in the future.
Yeah, it just seems like so when you change the word, you find the word that just helps bring joy to it. That's what it seems like. You say project, because I can see, yeah, project, that sounds fun. I want to do a couple projects, but they're work.
Just adding one word can change anything. I mean, you can, for example, just add one word at the end of something. You can go crap or hell and then go, yeah, right?
That's true. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So add yeah. That's the next one. That needs to be your next book. Just add yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, so I remember I've known you for so long. I've known you for probably 25 years or so, and I've never, at least that long, right? And
It was 1997, but who's counting?
That's right. It's been a while. So I remember, going to, hanging out with you at work and doing those things, and it never really seemed like work, when you were working. It seemed kind of like you had this, like what I call dedication. You had like this dedication to the moment, the thing you were doing. How do you relate to that?
Well, I think so. One of the things Greg just said, the driving force in my life is absolutely freedom. And so whatever I'm doing, it's a means to an end. It doesn't define who I am. It provides me the opportunities to have what I want and do what I want. And it's just, whatever I'm doing in that moment, that's the game I'm playing. And so, and sometimes I have to remind myself, or my wife may do it for me, that hey, this is the game you chose. And it's like, yeah, it is. So I'm gonna make sure that I either have fun or win or both. But it's, there's been very few times in my life where I felt like I was going to work or that I was working every day. Now there's stuff that I do and stuff that I do at a really high level and at a really fast pace but I don't relate to it as work. It's just the thing that I want to accomplish or the thing that I'm trying to do that like I said, that means to an end.
I love that. I love that you said it's the game that I chose. And I think that's the thing that so many people miss, like that we made a choice about something and then we complain about what it takes to produce that result, or that, like I want to run a marathon, or I want to lose weight, or I want to, do X, Y, Z, whatever that is. And then we wake up in the morning and we complain about that. We're the ones that chose it. There seems to be that separation or that responsibility.
That's where the discipline comes back in.
Yeah. A dream is just a fantasy until it comes true, and then it becomes a responsibility.
I love it. Yeah. I when it comes to work, I changed my word, and I use the word work because it's the word that people use, but the word behind it is I use dedication. Like, this is where I'm going to dedicate my energy, my resources, my time, what I know, and I dedicate it to this. So if I have a client in front of me, I'm dedicating everything I have to that. And that seems to me, that's empowering for me. And so then that, you mentioned flow earlier, Deanna. So when I find myself moving to flow so quickly because I'm giving everything I have to that.
Yeah.
Of the quote, there is no meaning but the meaning you give it. So whether you want to call it work or a project, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the meaning behind it. And you get to decide what that is.
So it seems like so many people think that they don't get the choice. They don't get to decide. It's like it's upon them. It's put upon them. Would you agree?
When I was really young, early 20s, and I saw a speaker, and Greg, I'm sure you know who he is, and it was in San Diego, and he was talking about his book, and he said, I'm going to write these 10 two-letter words up on the board. That's when they had chalkboards. And
what? What's that?
The 10 two-letter words were, if it is to be, it is up to me. And he talked about a lot of things that day, and I was in the front row, but when he said that, the whole concept of responsibility hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my outcomes, my failures, my everything else. And that's very freeing in a sense, because it's no longer you're at the effect of something or someone. It's like, hey, if this is going on, okay, what's my role in it? What am I going to do to make it different?
Well, I love that. I love that.
I want to comment on that one. By the way, that's a lot of feedback. We're doing this project and we realized this acronym called CPC, about accountability and responsibility. And Mark Anthony Bates taught us this. And this is what the highest level achievers do. They take accountability and responsibility. What happens with CPC: clues, patterns, choices. For example, if I go out on a first date and the woman happens to be 20 minutes late, there's a clue. But if I go out on the 5th, 6th, 7th date and she's 20 minutes late, there forms a pattern. Now, it's my choice to deal with it, yell, or break up, but it's not her fault. She's just late. We have to stop trying to change people into our paradigm to fit into what we want. But we see people with a bad reputation in business. They'll cheat your best friend. You do business thinking it will be different. Things go wrong, and you're mad at the person. It's like seeing a rattlesnake rattle, bite your kid's sister. You go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. The smartest people understand that they see the clue, they see the pattern, but they make their choices instantaneously. That's the difference, because looking back, we're never angry of the relationships or the bad business deals. We're usually angry that we just stayed on too long because we saw the clue, the pattern, but we made our choices too late.
That's really great. Yeah, and I think we're also looking for something to be upset about, and leaders and people that are actually producing results are not interested in looking for that, because that becomes a waste of time, because everything takes time, everything takes energy.
Hey,
so
I just want to comment, because I need to say this. What Greg just said, there's times in my life, and not in the too distant past, where I had the responsibility piece, but I missed the clues and I missed the patterns. And so then in the absence of those, of me recognizing those clues and patterns, the only place I had to look was at myself and blame myself, or trying to fix myself or anything else, instead of saying, gosh, they're showing you who they are and you're missing it.
Yeah, people will tend to also tell you every single thing you need to hear, but most people won't listen. I mean, you can go out, again, and go out if you're a single person, and they'll say, don't fall in love with me, you'll just get hurt. Then you fall in love with them, get hurt, and go, hey, they told you. People will tell you what you need to hear. You just got to listen.
That's awesome. That's really great. Well, I'd like to get wind up pretty soon, but the question I want to have for you guys is, what are you guys up to next in your life? And the reason I want to ask you that question, not really out of such an interest in what you're doing, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. I'm interested in what you're up to in your life next, and what you see as those characteristics, those qualities you need to put into your life to achieve those, that what you want to achieve. So how about you, Greg? Tell a little bit of what you're up to next in life. And
well, a lot of the stuff we're working on is out of our hands. I mean, the realities are we don't know where the country will be coming up. So you have to make it adapt. You got to adjust, like we were talking about earlier, to get to the end of the street. So hopefully in March, we're going to do our first live, mastermind secret knock in quite a while, which we're excited about. And all we can do is take the best actions toward it. So for example, we're reserving a venue in Texas, one in Arizona, one in Nevada, and one in California. Wow. One of those states might open up in time so that we can go in and do it, because all we can do is take care of our side of the fence to make sure it's the cleanest possible that we can do, so we can have the best you moving forward.
What's the quality you had to put into place to be able to do that?
The quality?
What's the quality? What did you have to change about it? Because, Secret Knock is here, Secret Knock is there, and now you have this.
Stop blaming everyone else and all the challenges, and start looking for the opportunities, and say, okay, well, if this doesn't go this way, well, what could it look like? See, most people ask the wrong questions. I think that there's universal energy everywhere. And unfortunately, it works like Google and gives you an exact answer. And people sit there and say, God, why does this always happen to me? This is why, you dumbass, and gives you more of that. So the whole thing is, if we start saying, well, what's the solution in this challenge I'm not seeing? What's the opportunity in these relationships that we're not capitalizing to help one another? Then all of a sudden, those answers start coming to us. That's where the quote comes from: when a student's ready, a teacher appears.
That's awesome. So the lessons you're learning, the qualities you're putting into place, could I assume that they're qualities you've already had, lessons you've already learned, and you're getting deeper cuts of those same lessons and requiring new disciplines, which are eventually basically the same disciplines you had to have before, but a deeper cut, deeper version of?
Absolutely not. I was a no. Those are things you had to learn along the way for myself because
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. You're a control person, and after a while, when you let go and let God, and you release everything, that old quote: "If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans." And as soon as you come to acceptance and you sit there and say, "What's my role in this?" Like we were talking about earlier, what can I do to take action moving forward? Then you start stepping into the opportunities of what can be.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that with me. Chris, how about you? What are you up to? And
there's so professionally, there's I still feel like I haven't done my big thing, right? And so now there's opportunities for me to do those with part of a team and in a startup, and opportunities for us to do some big things. There's several companies that I advise for and help, and I want to help them do big things. My real estate team, and want them to continue to grow and prosper and create opportunities for them. So that's professionally. Personally, I continually find myself in this space of, man, I can't believe I feel this way, or I'm thinking this way, or I need to get better. I need to grow. I need to learn. I need to get past these. And so it's just a constant evolution for me of, becoming, a better partner and father and friend and business person and everything else. So that is just the path I keep running down.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability and all the stuff you share. Deanna, how about you? Like, what are you up to in your life? And
yeah, with the constant changing climate right now, I think that the conversation that is most happening in my home is, despite everything that's going on, you guys, what do we want? I keep asking that to my husband and to my children. What do we want? What do you want for yourself? We can still stay focused on that. I think that we can get really distracted by all of the moving parts that are happening, but I don't think we need to. Sure, there's going to be certain things like you can't have a live event. By the way, Greg, I saw a friend that went to a live event in Florida in the Marriott Ballroom yesterday.
Wow.
So you might want to put Florida on your list. Wow. Seriously, it was on her story, and I reached out to her. I'm like, where the heck are you? Is that happening right now?
how do you do that?
Yeah, where's the live event? I want to go. But it's in Florida. So my point is to just stay focused on what you're wanting to create. Sure, you're gonna maybe have to do some ebbs and flows right now, or put a project to the side and focus on one that has a better chance at pushing forward. But in my household, it's about that, is staying focused on a vision. And the second thing is, I also feel like I'm haven't hit that big thing. I feel like I've done a lot of things to prepare for it in my life, and I'm at a place where I feel so calm. It's amazing, just so calm and more self-assured than I have ever felt. And I think that comes with just really managing my mind and emotions, and not getting caught up in thoughts, and being in more of a space of observance, where they can be like clouds that pass by. If it's a worry thought, or a negative thought, or an I am thought that doesn't align with my goals, it's just letting those pass by and not holding on to them or attaching to them. That's like a whole new space of maturity for me. So I'm pleased to be there. And I just, I think we all need to just look back at ourselves, and what can you do right now? It has to be the theme. And because there's so many opportunities when you just have that perspective.
That's great. What have you been? I think you may have just said that. What has surprised you about yourself since last March, more than anything? What have you done, or who have you become that's surprised yourself about yourself over the last 10 months or so?
Are you asking me, Martin?
Yeah.
The level of calm. Yeah, just I've been really taking time to just be with my kids. We've been hiking and doing things, this entire time together. It's unprecedented that I would be spending this much time for me as a mom with my kids, in our house. So getting out, doing things. My husband opened a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic. So,
I know, that's crazy.
I mean, you know what though? There was an opportunity. So while everybody else is, are we going to shut down? They saw an opportunity, and it's been going really well. A little bit, they have to keep figuring out based on just the latest few days. But there's opportunities that arise, in all of this. So for me, in the last 10 months, it's just been an incredible time of like calm. I feel like I've done a lot of reckoning. I love, if it is to be, it is up to me to be free. That's what I add to that. If it is to be, it is up to me to be free. I work with clients all the time that are trying to free themselves from these false beliefs about themselves, right? And all of this stuff, they're trying to let go of the past. But it is up to you to be free of that. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. I'm free of all that. And I'm just looking at the future, looking at opportunity.
That's great. Wow. I'm so blown away by all three of you. Chris, what have you surprised yourself with this year?
A lot of things. One is, so I'd never worked from home in my life, and always thrived in getting, work and home being two completely separate places, and going there. And not only have I been obviously working from home along with everyone else, but I'm actually really enjoying it, and have worked from home in multiple states and multiple homes. So that's one thing that was, having that that versatility in an area where I hadn't had before. I think the other thing is, there's some is realizations of things that keep coming up that I thought had been handled that aren't, and it's like, wow, there's more work to do there, and
got to work on that one still, right?
And then other areas where I think this time has been a really good time to, and Deanna sort of talked about a little bit with I have 4 kids in their 20s, or actually one just turned 30.
Wow.
And it's been a really good time to not only have more time with them, but to have more meaningful conversations about what's happening, and that's been really valuable, and it's been a nice surprise that's happened with all this.
That's awesome. That's really great. It's great to hear that. Greg, how about you? What have you learned about? I think Mono's going to move you over there. What have you learned about yourself and that surprised yourself?
I like Cheetos way too much.
Let me see your fingers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And my little aha isn't a big epiphany. It was just a simple little thing. When this was all starting to hit the fan, and there was the fear of the unknown, and everyone was scared, I realized I had something called a good death style. People always talk about lifestyle, but I had a good death style. And what that meant is I called my lawyers and my insurance guys and said, hey, look, if the worst case scenario happens, what happens? And they go, you're set. Your family's set. Everything's set. Your will's set. You're good to go. And I realized that, I did good. I left legacy, books, I had a good death style. And then I said, okay, well, what did it look like if I don't have that worst case scenario? And I went outside and I said, do I really need these 3 brand new cars in a driveway that I'm not allowed to drive right now? And do I really need this? And so I went through a whole downsize of what an important lifestyle is going to be moving forward. And so it's kind of cool. I'm turning in one of the fancy cars. It's next week, I guess. And then I went and did a garage sale and said, look, anything that I haven't used in the last year has got to go, no matter how much I think I need it. And it was really cool to let go and to refresh oneself to move forward and get ready for 2021, which I know is a tsunami of opportunity that's going to come in our way.
Love it. Thank you. I want to thank you guys all for coming. You brought so much wisdom, and just it's amazing. I don't even know what to say. So Greg, how about we start with you, and then we'll go to Chris, and then we'll finish with Deanna. What are you up to? And just let people know what you're up to and how they can get a hold of you. And I mean, I love what all you guys are up to. So please share.
Just Instagram. I'm the easiest guy in the world. Greg S. Reed at Instagram, and it can direct message. It goes directly to me. My only request is I don't talk about the weather, what your kids ate for breakfast, but if you go, hey, I need a contact over here, what book should I read? I'd be glad to mail you one as a gift. Just send it to me anytime, Greg S. Reed at Instagram.
And I want to just encourage you guys, connect with Greg. He's up to some amazing things. He's not really pushing any of that right now, but he's up to some really, really amazing things. Like I've gone to some of his events, literally life-changing. So thank you, Greg, for including me in some of those. Chris.
Hey, I'm easy to find. You can message me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I almost always respond. So easy to be found there. And I, be spending time here in Austin and in San Diego and Whitefish, Montana in 2021, and creating some. And as Greg said, I believe there will be, and there is, and will continue to be a tsunami of opportunities.
Are you writing a book by any chance? Have you considered that?
I've thought about it from time to time. I might have to, I might need to get Deanna's help on the mental part, and then Greg's part on help on the tactical part.
I think they'd both love to do that. They'd both love to help you. Deanna, what are you up to, girl? Other than open restaurants and all that stuff.
Writing a book is like running a marathon. You have to chunk it down. 1 mile at a time. I am excited about just helping more people. I have felt this theme since all of this happened of this great reveal. I feel like it's really revealed things for people, as Greg has shared, right? It revealed, I don't need all this stuff. And what do I need? What do I really want? Like you're getting more focused. And I've seen that so across the board, this very revealing energy. So I want to be able to help more people. I'm writing another book, and I'm excited about this one because it's just more simple. It's a signature book for my business, my coaching business, and it's going to be sharing all the techniques that I use all the time. My clients and beyond that, people that I'm not working with one-on-one will like, how do I do that again? What's that process? I love to break things down for people. And so I'm going to focus this next book. It's about 75% written right now, on those specific techniques. So it can be that kind of book that just sits next to your bed, that you want to reference. And I hope to bring more joy into the world. I know that sounds a little goofy because it's cliche and it's Christmas. But seriously, my middle name is Joe, and I'm thinking I'm just going to add a Y to it to remind myself to always be affirmative, bring more joy, into the world. So people can find me at my website. Is probably the best place. I'm all over social media as well, but wakeupyourbest.com is easy to remember.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for being here. I can't even thank you guys enough. I love all of you. You guys are just amazing human beings. You guys are up to some amazing stuff, and I want to thank you. It is an absolute honor to share this last hour with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Take care, guys.